Hey guys, welcome back. My name's Melissa if you're new here, and I thought for today's video I would give you an update on all of my imports that I got from Greenhaus. And it's been a little over a month since I last made some content about them. And I do have a series on my channel that goes over when I first unboxed them and my rehabbing process. So they're all saved into a playlist, and I will link those up here if you want to go back and kind of see my journey with them. They've come a long way. They're all doing great. I have a total of 6 plants. So I'm going to show you how each one is doing, give you an up close look at them. And I also have one that was not potted up, so I am going to be potting this plant up in this video as well to give you a little bit of plant care, and then I'll show you the progress that all of these have made. I'm really excited to show you. I'll put some footage on here when I first kind of unboxed them and what they look like. They were just really dehydrated in the beginning. I had to thoroughly saturate them and just fully rehab them. I ended up using perlite as my method of rehabbing these plants, and I had a lot of rotted roots that fell off. They were just like slushing right off. And after some time of like growing new roots, I potted most of them up into a soil mixture. I had all of them potted except for one, which was the Milano crisum. It had suffered root rot, and I had to completely propagate the plant that I had. So I had one top cutting left, and then I had several wet sticks or several like empty nodes that I chopped up, and I'm currently propagating those. I am going to give you a sneak peek at what those look like, but I am making a separate video on my wet stick propagation process. So I think first I'm going to show you what each plant currently looks like and how they're doing, and then the second part of this video we will pot up the Milano crisum and I will give you a peek at the wet stick. So I'm really excited, so let's get started. I'm going to jump right in to the Florida Beauty. You guys know that it put out a new leaf pretty early. It was all green. It had reverted, or at least I thought it was going to revert, and it had a couple other nodes that didn't do anything, and then I potted it up. Are you guys ready for this? It unfurled its new leaf and it's variegated. Do you see that? I don't know if you can see the variegation because it is not fully come through yet. This leaf just unfurled, but it's gonna be variegated. I'm so happy. So this was the first leaf it put out. It was all green, and this is the newest leaf, which is variegated, which makes me so happy. So my Florida Beauty that came had a lot of half moon leaves, and I was worried, you know, with this first leaf reverting, that this one completely was going to revert, because I guess that's a chance you take when you have like half moon leaves, depending on like the node and where they're growing from. It's hard to know if they're going to be variegated or not, or continue that. The stem doesn't really look to be variegated a whole lot. I see a slight variegation on the stem here, and I'm just over the moon and just so excited. I can't wait for more growth. I will eventually get this one staked up, but for now, I'll probably do that sooner than later, but I think I'll let 1 or 2 more leaves kind of grow, and I don't want to like dig around in the pot quite yet. I'd rather it kind of get situated in here, and I don't know what kind of support I want to do, maybe a thick leaf pole, but I'm going to let it grow a little bit more and then I will get it supported. That is that one. I'm really happy and excited to see it's doing well. Up next is going to be the anthurium. So the anthurium had 2 pretty large leaves, and I cut a couple of the older leaves off that were yellowing and were going. As far as the anthurium, it did have a lot of roots, but a lot of them were rotted and were sloughing off. So I had it in my cabinet over there with all my other anthuriums, and it shot out this new leaf. Do you see this? It's still very much hardening, so it's definitely going to get bigger, I feel like. But I'm just so happy to see it. I first like shared it when I saw that new leaf pop out, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And these were the 2 original import leaves. I just was not expecting it to just grow a new leaf already. I felt like that was pretty quick. I top dressed all of my anthuriums with moss to keep moisture in their aerial roots here, so that encourages them to grow down into the substrate. So yes, it's so cute. This is the Anthurium dresserly. I don't know if I said that yet, but it's doing well, and I can't wait to get even more leaves. I think the leaf shape is really, really cute. And it's kind of like dark and velvety, and I like the veining too. It's not too prominent. The veining reminds me of a forgetty eye. So I don't know, I think it's a really cute Anthurium, and it's doing amazing. Next up is this Synapsis, and this is the Platinum. And as far as this goes, it's doing very well. And for me, they've always been slow growers, and I think that's going to be the same in this case because it's only put out one leaf, and it put out this leaf a long time ago when I did the last video. And it does have a new leaf it's working on right here, and it does have a new growth point on this one. And where I had cut this plant here, I do not see another node has activated yet. So this one is still not doing anything where I cut. And I do have bad news. That cutting I took did rot and die, which I knew it was going to. I just don't think it was fully strong enough or developed at that time to take that initial propagation. I should have waited. I did have it in my window too, which it got some pretty intense light. And I think I may have let it get a little too like dry, the amount of water that was in the container. And I think with the heat scorching on it, I think it just kind of yeah, it just made it rot and not do well. So I did lose the cutting, but that's okay. I think once this grows several leaves, then I'll probably propagate it to fill this pot out. So technically I have 1, 2, 3 growth points on here, but I just think it's a beautiful Scindapsus. I love like the silvery blue tone to it in the leaves. They're very beautiful. So just a slow grower. I can tell it's going to be a slow grower. Next up is the Monstera Esqueleto, and this plant I put on a big grow pole by Thickly. This is the 2.0, and I do have some roots in here at the bottom of the pole. It's going to be really hard to make out, but there are roots in here. So this plant has 4 original leaves. This was the leaf that was continually yellowing when I did the import. This one had the best root system. This one grew the roots the best when I was rehabbing them. For some reason, the roots on this one just did really well. And there's several roots in here, and I think it is finally situated in this pot because I do have a new growth point right here. It is going to push out a leaf. So I think by the time I do the next update, I will have a beautiful new Esqueleto leaf. This was the newest one, well, the newest import leaf, so it is quite small. So I'm actually curious to know how the growth is going to be for this one. I'm actually really, really excited. I'm really happy to see growth. I knew it was probably going to be a while before I got a new leaf, but I am excited. It'll be the first new leaf in my care, and I honestly can't wait to get giant Monstera Esqueleto leaves. Hey buds. Hi Chai. Hey buddies. So yeah, definitely one I'm really excited for. I just can't wait. I can't wait to see this new leaf. I'm so excited. This one is doing the absolute best. This is the variegated Monstera adansonii. Do you see all these leaves up top? This is the newest one that just unfurled, and it's getting a little bit bigger. You can see the variegation there. And this plant has given me 4 leaves in my care. So this was the newest one that was unfurling during the import process. And then it gave me this one here, and then this one, and this is the newest one. It is doing and climbing very, very well. I will have to extend this pole pretty soon. The root system is about here, so I do have several leaves that can still grow out of here before I technically have to extend it. And the root system in this pole is doing amazing. Can you see all those roots? It is growing into that moss and attaching very, very well. And yeah, it's just very happy. It's been pushing out a new leaf, I feel like, I don't know, every 2 to 3 weeks probably. And yeah, I just love Monstera adansonii. I love the split leaves, the holes, the fenestrations, and it's doing really, really well. So definitely one that's been the most, I feel like the most rewarding, I guess, in that sense, because it is growing fast. So I feel like it is really happy in my care, but I'm excited to see like any new leaves. I just know that they've all done well, and I'm just like excited for that. And last up is going to be the Philodendron Milano crisum. This is the one that I still have in perlite, and this is the new leaf it has unfurled. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that like amber tone and color. It is so beautiful. And so this is the original import leaf. Chai obviously, you know, wants attention right now. And this was the top cut. So this is the cut that was on the very end, because I wanted to at least try to somewhat save the plant, because all the roots were just not, I knew like right away the root system was really dry and kind of rotted looking. So I knew the plant wasn't going to do well. So I immediately took this top cut, which I'm really happy I did. And so I have this one is still in a semi-hydro setup. It is rooting in perlite. And you can see the root system there is doing well. And yeah, you can see all those roots there. So I believe that I want to go ahead and get this potted up. I feel like it has enough roots that I could pot it into a very like small pot with a thickly pole. I think I do want to go ahead and get this pot or get this plant on a thickly pole before it pushes more growth, because I would like to get this top leaf supported, and it is going to push out a new leaf probably soon, and I don't want these leaves to get small. I think with Milano crisum, so I've had this plant before in my past, and they are somewhat of a difficult plant. If you don't get them supported right away, the growth can be very small and they can unfurl weird. So I want to get this plant supported like ASAP, and I want this plant to get some nutrients, because I don't really have any nutrients in here, and it's been in this perlite ever since I started rehabbing it. So that is the plan with this. I'm going to go ahead and get this potted up with you, and yeah, we will get him onto his next phase. But before I do that, let me show you these wet sticks. So I had 6 Milano wet sticks, and one of them did rot the very base. So the one that was rotting, the one closest to that like chunk. So that one did rot, unfortunately. But out of the 5 remaining, I have them all right here, and they are all doing well. So I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek. A couple of them have leaves that you can see. This one here on the end and this one here. And the rest of them do have a tiny bit of root growth. And you can see like the new leaf bump. So yeah, I am making a separate video on like how I'm rooting these. So I just want to give you a sneak peek that all the other ones are doing well, and I'm excited for these. I don't know what my plan will be with these. I think I won't be able to put these or pot these up for a while onto like some kind of support. So that probably won't happen yet, and I'll probably do that separately than this other one here that I have. So I'll probably root these in here for a while, and then I will move them out into like their own separate pot with probably moss and perlite. And then I will pot those up. But this one I'm going to go ahead and pot up and get supported before this leaf grows another leaf, and I don't want it to get wonky growth. So let me go ahead and get my supplies, and we will get this guy potted up. All right, hopefully you can see what I am doing okay. So basically I have a thickly grow pole here. So this is their standard like 4 square across, and it's the one that, you know, like folds that I've been using in a lot of my plants. So I'm going to use this, and this is literally one of the world's smallest pots, but I did pot up another plant, and this pole will fit into this pot. It is going to be a very tight fit. I don't want these roots to like be so overwhelmed with too much soil, so I am potting very, very small. And I'm going to use, I have my moss here I'm going to use to make the pole up. And I'm going to be using some mycorrhizal to help the roots out a bit. And I'm going to give the plants some nutrients with my Osmocote fertilizer. This is my slow release. And I'm going to be using Soul Soils. This is their houseplant mix. And I feel like I want a chunkier mix for this plant. I just feel like with it being on a pole and being prone to kind of somewhat being overwatered, I would rather use a chunkier mix. I just prefer it for most of my plants. So what we're going to do first is I have a little bucket of water here. I'm just going to dump some moss in here. And I don't need to put very much moss in here at all because the cutting is going to take a little while to, you know, grow on the pole. So while that's kind of soaking here, I don't have my potting mat either, so whoops. So these poles, you just bend at the creases. They just literally fold right up. On that side. On that side. And then these little soil clips I bend down like that. And then before I fold this, I'm going to put some moss in here. So the ones that have the flaps go at the very, those go in the actual pot so that it doesn't come flying out. But this is a very, very tiny pot. And then I will just upsize this when I feel like the root system has developed more. I just didn't want to go up too large, and I would rather stick with a clear pot. And I don't have many smaller clear pots other than this size. I need to get some like 4-inch. I think this is probably a 3-inch. So I need to order some more, but I'm going to use this for now. And then I usually skip about 3 holes just so I can fill the bottom half with soil. And I can actually go down a little bit because this pot it's not very tall. And I don't pack these super tight. You just want enough moss in here though to kind of get started. All right, and then I'm just going to fold this up. And there, it's the D-shaped pole, and it is super easy. So the moss kind of ends at the base where the soil will fill, and I have plenty of room to add more moss once it starts climbing more. Now we're going to take our chunky soil. It's a very tight squeeze in here. I think it'll be okay. I'm going to fill some of this in the back. I just have to be mindful that this is a very small pot, and with a chunky mix, I don't want this soil to like dry that much. So I'll just have to be mindful to kind of keep the base of this somewhat watered. Okay, and so for our perlite roots, we're just going to lift her right out. Look at all those roots. Do you see all those? Lots of healthy roots. I'm just going to do a little tap. And with our mycorrhizal inoculants, I'm going to sprinkle some on the root system. And we're going to sit her the front of this pot. I'm wondering if this pot is going to be too small now. I'm trying to decide if I'm regretting putting it in such a small pot. I think it'll be okay. Okay, so this is what I have. So it's in a very tiny pot. I tried to, a lot of the roots are kind of here at the front, but I think it'll be okay. It's definitely smaller. I wish I had 1 more inch size up, but if I have to change it out, I will if it dries too fast. But I think it'll be fine as long as I keep it somewhat watered. And I don't need to support it because I feel like I got it against the moss that the next leaf that comes out, those new aerial roots should start pushing into there and it'll start climbing and growing into here. I'm gonna leave him in my cabinet and I might put him in a pot just to provide a little extra support, I think would help. So I'll find a pot for him and leave him in my cabinet. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this import update with me. I'll do another one probably in like another month or so just to see the progress on some of these and how they're doing. And then once I decide to change out the wet sticks, I will probably pot those up separately and let them grow a little bit more. But I'm excited. I'm excited to have another Milano. I've always loved the Milano crisum leaves, you know, once they get mature, but hopefully this one will do better for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little repot and update with me. And yeah, I will talk to you all again very soon.